Hi, this is Ange Pompano, author of The Mysteries Diet of Death and When It's Time for Leaving. Kick back with me and listen to Ann Dark, Tracy Stormy, and Kathy Knight with their guest on the Dark and Stormy podcast.
Hello and welcome to Dark and Stormy Book Club. Today we have part 2 of what we're reading for November. Enjoy!
I'm Ann Dark.
I'm Tracy Stormy.
And I'm Kathy Knight.
And together we are
It Was a Dark and Stormy Book Club,
a podcast for mystery lovers.
Welcome.
If you enjoy our show, please consider contributing to the Dark and Stormy Patreon. By becoming a patron, you will help us create better and quality content. There are also benefits to becoming a patron, such as exclusive content and Dark and Stormy merchandise. Become a supporter at patreon.com/darkandstormybc. Check our website for the link. We appreciate any and all contributions. Thank you.
If you listened last week, which I hope you did, we had a very long episode introducing Misty, our 4th member of our book club. We decided to break the episode in half to keep it brief. So today we're going to play part 2, and we will start with Anne's book. My book is called Cleopatra's Dagger. If you gave me a choice of any genre of a mystery to read, the first one I would pick is historical. I just love those. And this book takes place in New York in 1880.
Ooh.
The protagonist is named Elizabeth Vandenbroek. I guess it's Broek, Broek.
I'll go with that.
She works at the Herald newspaper.
Oh.
And of course, women were not in the workplace that much back then.
Yeah.
So she and her friend were walking the friend's dog in Central Park, and they were digging a hole for the Cleopatra's needle obelisk that was going in, and it was getting ready to be erected, and the dog started barking. So they walk over to see, of course, there's a mummy wrapped all in linen, just wrapped
Happens
up.
to me all the time.
I know.
I mean, is it Tuesday?
Yeah.
If it's Tuesday, that's going to happen.
Right. So,
Wednesdays, it's dogs.
right.
Tuesdays, it's mummies.
She goes to her editor and she tells him that she was there and she had some insights that what the police said and everything. And she wants to write the story. Well, you can't have a woman reporter.
No.
But her father was very wealthy and one of the investors. So he tells her, okay, you can write the story, but bring it to me and I'll finish it and put it under his name. So, because you can't have a woman. So she writes this story, and it was so excellent. The editor says, write me some more.
Oh.
So she introduces herself to the policeman, of course.
As you do.
Back then, the one thing about this story, there's a lot of actual facts that get interlaced with the fictional part of the story. So this was right after the Tammany Hall scandal from back in the 1800s. To keep their name honest, the police were cooperating more with journalists than they do today. She starts writing this column about this body that was found. She goes to the morgue and gets to see the body. And of course, that would happen in 1800.
I don't know. They weren't as worried about
Anybody
No.
could probably walk in.
Well, I mean, is that about the time when there were a lot of, oh no, maybe that was earlier. But I mean, there used to be grave robbers for a reason.
Oh
They
yeah,
would
that
go
was
in and take the body, and nobody was giving their body over to science.
right.
They
They
were
were digging them up.
they
Yeah.
were digging them up, and that was a very lucrative business. So,
Yes,
Yeah.
Burke and Hare.
ah, ah,
But anyway, she and her photographer go to the morgue and they take a picture of this young woman's body and put it in the paper. Well, there is an evil person in this story that you kind of, he interjects himself every once in a while to tell his side of the story.
Oh, I like that.
And
I do
he,
too.
every body that he kills, he gives a symbol of an Egyptian hieroglyph on their body somewhere. The
Oh.
first body, the mummy, was the god of fire. And then the second body that they found in Central Park again was under the hand of the Statue of Liberty, because when the statue was first brought over, they put the hand in Central Park so
Huh.
people could see how large it was.
And that's real?
Interesting.
And that's real. That really
That's
happened.
fascinating.
They had photographs of this hand and people standing under it. And it was a hand with a torch, you know.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So they had,
Learn something new.
that's where they found the second body.
That's what book club is for. Learning new things.
Yes, it's educational.
Absolutely. And fun.
Yes. She goes and writes another story. Of course, the evil murderer, he thinks he is the reincarnation of the god Osiris.
Oh, now
And
you're starting to get
that's
into
what
some
he's
stuff.
doing.
Okay.
And as the book says, if Elizabeth wants a really good story, she may have to die to get it.
Oh,
So it is, it's
Wow.
very, very well done. The protagonist, she represents this poor woman trying to get known in the society that only takes men.
right.
And all the other women in the building think she's sleeping with the editor, and that's why she is allowed to write these stories. I mean, it's probably
Interesting.
very true to that time period where
Yeah.
if you're a woman, you're supposed to stay home and just go to teas and stuff. But
Crochet things make me
Yeah.
things.
but there's some really good characters in this book. There's, of course, Elizabeth. She's your protagonist, and she's very wealthy, which doesn't hurt. She's trying to make it on her quote own. And then you have Carlotta, who is a artiste who
Okay.
has a studio in the building that she lives. And then Jonah is her brother, and he is an anarchist who's introducing her to Karl Marx and that sort of ill. So it's really, really good. And I enjoyed it. And I hope that Carole writes more.
I have a question. Cleopatra's, what was it called? Cleopatra's
Dagger.
Needle. Is that still in Central Park?
As far as I know, it is. There's one in Paris, there's one in London, and they put one in Central Park.
Road trip.
There you go.
Yeah, road trip.
It is. It's on 81st Street side in New York, New York.
Is
Wow.
it?
And
cool.
you can do tours. It looks very interesting. It was dedicated in Central Park in 1881, standing
Yeah.
between the Great Lawn. It is a 220
Oh,
ton
wow.
monolith.
I pulled it up. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool looking.
It's a single piece of stone carved out of granite at the quarries of Aswan, a major source of stone for Egyptian antiquities.
Yes.
So
Wow.
very cool.
So I think we need to do a road trip. Yep.
I love it. I love it. And I really like when a book will, especially historicals. I love when they bring to light something that maybe you didn't know about, something that you didn't realize how it got there, something that speaks to that time. Because one of the first things that I actually published was not under my name. My husband's mother used to be the graphic designer for a magazine out in California, and they were trying to bring in male readers. It was called the Country Review. They had a lot of like recipes and stuff. And so they're like, lots of women are reading this. We need guys to read this. And so she came to me and she said, how do you feel about writing as a guy? And I said, I'm fine with that. She's like, well, what's your name? And I'm like, M. Simon Penner. And so
Boy, you came up with that quick.
I know. The same thing with Gabby Allen. The second that the editor said, we want you to have a pen name. And I was like, Gabby Allen. And she's like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, I talk a lot and I like Edgar Allan Poe. She's like, well, that does make a lot of sense. So M. Simon Penner used to write articles about antique cars.
Oh.
No.
Because the area that we lived in was very big on antique cars. It's in the middle of California. They would have these hot rod shows. And so a lot of guys did start reading the magazine because there was a guy writing about Aston Martins and, you know, the first Ford.
So you had to
coming off
learn stuff.
I did. I was at the library a lot. And the librarian was like, why are you here again? And why are you always in the car section? And I'm like, because I'm apparently a guy writing guy stuff. And she was okay. I think we had just gotten a computer. We did not have any kind of anything. I didn't even have dial-up. It was like it just had like Word on it, and I handed those to her printed. So I didn't even have email. In the 90s, early 2000s, could you imagine 120 years earlier than that being seen as someone intelligent enough to do that? They didn't often do it. And even if you did, you had to do it under a guy's name.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is fascinating.
So was there a lot of entways into like the publishing world?
Well, they were kind of blocked because she was a woman, but her editor was very free thinking and forward thinking, and he gave her a chance where other people wouldn't. And
is this a first in the series?
I don't know if this is going to be a series. I hope it is.
So when did it come out?
It came out, I think, in June of this year. Carole Lawrence, her real name is Carole Bugge, B-U-G-G-E, with a umlaut over the E. She has 9 novels.
Because it sounds like it should be a series.
It should be a series. I would read any of these. She is the only writer to be selected 2 years in a row from over 600 blind submissions to be included in both Vengeance and the Mystery Box by the Mystery Writers of America. She teaches creative writing at NYU and Gotham Writers Workshop, and has taught at Cape Cod, San Miguel, and Woodstock's Writers Conferences.
Wow.
And her website is celawrence.com.
Oh,
and
very
I
good.
would recommend that book very, very much. If you like a historical, you will like this book.
That's
Well,
fantastic.
a historical with women's issues.
Right.
Yes. I'm sorry, this came out in April, not June. April.
So it looks like she
And
has
it was put
another
out-
series.
It was put out by Thomas and Mercer.
Okay. She has another 3-book series, the Ian Hamilton Mysteries.
Yeah, those
Books
were
1, 2, and 3.
those seem to be more on the
Cozier side?
not cozy. I would say more It looked to me more like science fiction or
Oh, okay.
that kind of a little different.
It's
So,
a 19th century Scotland. But yeah, it looks like so far there's only one with the Cleopatra's dagger, and it does not show like that it's a book one of anything.
yeah, I
So I
wish it
would love for it to
was.
be.
I would read more of those
Okay.
very willingly.
Well, let's just tell her, just let her know that we're waiting.
So we're waiting for the next
Right.
Elizabeth Venture.
And we're waiting for Misty's review.
Yes, we
Okay.
are.
So I read Killer Content. It is by Olivia Black, and it is a Brooklyn murder mystery, is what the series is called. It's the first series that came out in February of 2021. Very interesting premise. This girl has just moved to Brooklyn from Louisiana, and she was on this tiny island of 2,000 people, but it's not really an island. It's more of a dry piece of land in the middle of a swamp.
Peninsula.
Yes. Southern manners, lots of this is how my gammy would expect me to do it versus how do you handle yourself in Brooklyn, New York. She
had to truly be a fish out of water.
seriously, yeah, nicely done. I love it. She is house sitting for her aunt who is gone for 3 months. So she gets a job at a cafe that is books and craft beers, and then also food. The only thing available in her town was like Budweiser. And so this is a completely different experience for her altogether. Very fun. I loved the way that Olivia brought in where she was and where she is, and the differences. Very flowy. I definitely felt like I wanted to know Odessa Dean more. That is her main character. A lot of references to social media and stuff like that because there's
Is that where the content comes
Yes.
from?
Yep, it is. The woman who ends up dying, there's a viral video of a flash mob happening, and in the background, somebody who works with her dies.
That's different.
I know, right?
Different.
You see it on the video?
They do see it, however, they can't tell what happened. And so that she is picking up these clues. There is a detective. It doesn't seem like they're really circling each other. They definitely didn't really start a relationship, I wouldn't think. There's definitely pieces in there, but we'll see what happens with that. But she has to figure it out while she's also, I guess the feeling that I got towards the end was that she has a family in Louisiana, but up here she's looking for a family and she's finding it. So very character driven. Definitely love the mystery. I was guessing toward the end, even as an author. I know the tips and tricks, but I also was swept away so thoroughly by the writing that I really wasn't trying to figure it out. I was just along for the ride. Really liked the pieces of New York that she had in the story itself. Looking at it from an outsider's perspective, I mean, I've been in New York City a handful of times, so I have no idea what it's like to live in there. So it was very cool to see how she's building a life. Plus, she is one of those characters who very much grew up as a people pleaser.
I want to go back to something you said earlier because it really stuck with me. You said that you got lost in her writing. There is something about if somebody is really talented at putting pen to paper, it's almost like butter in your mouth. It's just they'll put a prose in there and it's like, I'll repeat it to myself. I'm like, that is really clever.
Yeah. For me, there are two different kinds of books that I like. One is the ones that are written so lyrically that it sounds like they're singing. I have a friend who writes like that, and I am like, her use of words to very instantly snap an image into your head, but in this very beautiful, almost wave of sound way is just astounding. The other ones are the ones that make me forget I'm reading.
Yes.
And those are the
Yes.
ones where
those are the ones I like.
Your eyes are picking up the words. You are, of course, you're reading, you know, but you kind of forget that you're reading. And I was so immersed in the way that she was telling the story. Is it lyrical? I don't know that I found the writing to be lyrical, but I did find it to be with a flow that made me feel like I am totally along for the ride. I'm not even going to try to figure it out. I just want you to tell me the story. I try to do this with my books. I want mine to be like you and I have decided to go to Starbucks for the afternoon. And I'm like, oh my gosh, listen to what happened last week. And so those are the ones that I really like. I love the lyrical ones. And sometimes I need like a break in between because they're a little too deep. Sometimes I just want to be entertained.
Exactly. That's why I read this cozy, because
right. And that's
I just
why
needed a good pick-me-up.
Yes, and I like the light, entertaining. And there were definitely stuff in here, you know. I mean, there's some characters that are much different than who I am. And so I love reading about people who are different and seeing how things happen in their perspective. But yeah, I really felt like more than anything, I just was engrossed. Her new one is coming out. And it's super cute. I just felt like I wanted to go over there and figure out, well, what comes next and who are you? And did you really like that beer? Because I feel like maybe you're lying a little bit about that.
Some of the reviews I read said that she was very reminiscent of an early Stephanie Plum novel.
Yes. Okay. I could absolutely see that. And I think when you're looking through that lens, she just did a really good job with sucking me in. So the next one is
and
called...
this would be considered a cozy?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I would consider it a cozy. You know, you have the amateur sleuth, you have the detective, you have the...
Is there a cat?
Smaller, there is a cat. That is, she is
that's right.
watching
She's
a cat
sitting.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next one is called No Memes of Escape.
Memes?
MEMES.
All social media stuff.
Yes. Yep.
Which is actually pretty clever.
It's very cute. And you know, I love my titles.
Yeah, because I think, you know, what she's trying to do,
Pull in the millennial.
Pull in the millennials. And the, you know, I think that's really a great idea.
Yeah. This one, it says amateur sleuth Odessa Dean is about to discover the only thing harder than finding her way out of an escape room is finding an affordable apartment in Brooklyn in this sequel to Killer Content.
Yeah.
Like I said, really good. One of the quotes on it is quirky characters, viral videos, books, beer, and murder, an entertaining millennial tale.
Yep.
So I do, you know, we've talked about this before, obviously not in here since this is my first time, but there are a lot of people who have been reading cozy mysteries for a long time, and I love that they are served by a lot of authors who are writing the tea cottages and, you know, the kind of mysteries, more traditional Murder, She Wrote mysteries. But I do think, you know, as the newer readers are aging up, if you want to bring, you're going to have to start giving them what they
want.
Because we need new listeners too.
Yes.
So if you get into mysteries, then you know what? You're going to want to listen to a good podcast.
Exactly. Especially our dulcet tones. So I really felt like this, and it crossed the line very well. The line being traditional versus slightly to the side, to pull in both. I could see someone who was older also enjoying it, as well as someone who's younger, getting the references, getting the humor. It was very enjoyable. I very much recommend running out and seeing Killer Content. There's a new one coming, and I want to say it has to do with vinyl, and I can't remember. I don't think it's called Vinyl Record. I'll look for it. I thought, oh my, this is really cute. And it was very well done in a way that made me think, okay, I could see this, people wanting to come in and look at this. And okay, so the next one is called Vinyl Resting Place.
Ah,
Yep, and that is due out December 27th of 2022.
Yeah.
So, and that's very cute. I like the ones that will bring in both ends, like your grandma could read it and then you could read it, or you could read it and then your granddaughter could read it. And you would have something like this book club to talk about and be like, that was really cool, because I didn't feel like the social media content went so far that you would lose somebody who is not into all of it. She definitely gave you a flow of what it is and explained it without explaining it in a way that you'd totally be able to follow along with and still get a kick out of it no matter who you are. So yeah, I
wow,
loved
that
it.
sounds a lot of fun.
Yes.
I think that it's hard to come up with something new and different in the cozy world. So
Yes, it can
kudos
be.
to her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
They can't all have vacuum cleaners.
No, I know. I mean, there's only
That has
one
been done to
tally.
death.
Look at you. Did
She'll have to take her vacuum cleaner and change up to a Roomba.
Right. Sally's afraid of Roombas.
Yeah.
These are all inside jokes. We'll
Yes.
let you guys in on it later
We
on
will.
when we have more time.
Yeah, keep sticking around. You want to keep showing up. Maybe we'll drop a clue. Maybe you'll have to figure out the mystery.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, this has been so much fun.
Yes.
We really are so happy that Misty has joined us. Since Kathy, her counterpart, has gone back to school, we were feeling very down in the dumps, and we've been through a couple family things. And so this is just the energy that I want this show to have.
Good. Hopefully we won't wear anybody out. It'll come in the
You may
content.
have to, our listeners may have to pace themselves.
Right. It'll have a content warning sticker that
Yeah.
says, don't listen to this at work. Because you don't want to have to explain why you just guffawed and snorted tea out your nose.
And I'm listening to a literary podcast.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Mhm.
I don't think so. I think that's a lie. And you're going to want to share that with everyone. And then they'll hear the blasting voice and they'll be like, oh, no, that's okay. You can turn that off.
Trivia. Last week's question was, the author Thomas Harris gives very few interviews, but in one he described his writing style as A, sometimes you really have to shove and grunt and sweat. B, sometimes words come faster than you can write them down. C, there is no style, it's pure luck. Or D, there are months that I don't even try to write. The answer is A. Sometimes you have to shove and grunt and sweat. Some days you go to your office and you're the only one who shows up. None of the characters show up, and you sit there by yourself feeling like an idiot. And some days everybody shows up ready to work. You have to show up at your office every day. If an idea comes by, you want to be there to get it. This week's question is, which mystery author knew that they would become a professional writer at the age of 8? A, Mickey Spillane, B, Anthony Horowitz, C, Tom Clancy, or D, Laura Lippman? Tune in next week for the answer. We thank you for listening. We are very pleased that Misty has joined us. Don't eat. And remember,
Life would be boring without a little mystery.
bye.
We never get it right. Try again. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Bye.
Bye.
I went too early. You counted 3 and I just started.
One
One
more
more
time.
time. 1, 2, 3.
3.
Bye.
That sounded better.